What is going on, guys? I am BlackOpsAmazing. Welcome back to another zombies video on the channel, back with another Q&A where we take your questions to do with the zombie storyline and answer them. So as always, if you enjoyed today's video, a like rating if you feel like it anytime would be appreciated. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest content on the channel. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Here we go. So loads of questions to answer from you guys today, but the first one from Mossy Oak 518 says, in Kino der Toten, I went in theatre mode and outside of the map there is a Mug City transport bus. How close is Mug City to Kino? Love your videos, keep up the good work. So thank you. Now I have already covered this on my channel already, and I do think that it's just a prop that they've reused for Kino der Toten. We can find this exact same bus in Mug City or Shadows of Evil, and then we can find it in Zombies Chronicles Kino der Toten, which released later on. This bus is actually outside of the map, so you can only see a little bit of it, just the end of it. You can't actually see the lettering Mug City from inside of the map. You have to go into theatre and kind of like clip outside in order to see the text. And so for that reason, because it wasn't meant for us to be seen, you're not supposed to see it from in-game, I do believe it's just the fact that they've reused this prop from Shadows of Evil. But obviously Treyarch themselves know we're going to go into theatre mode on these maps. They know we're going to go outside the maps. They would have known that we would discover this. I don't know how difficult it would have been for them to have removed this text. I mean, I'm thinking this is something that could have taken a few seconds to get rid of, just cover up. And so for that, I do believe they perhaps wanted us to find this and wanted us to speculate on what this could mean. I mean, we don't know 100%. Maybe it's not just the prop that they've reused and they intended for a meaning to be behind it, but obviously Mug City Shadows of Evil is in the USA, and then Kino der Toten is in Berlin. Those two places are very far away from here, so why would a bus from America be in Germany, especially during this time in the 1960s? I can't see any story relation here. I don't think there is. Like I said, I just think it's a prop that they've reused from a previous map. Instead of making a whole new one, they've just reused it. The next question from Meme says, BOA, what is your favourite set of characters out of all of the Black Ops Zombie storylines? Now, my favourite set of characters is Richtofen, Takeo, Nikolai and Dempsey. However, we do have two different versions of them. There is the Primus, or the younger version, and then there is the Ultimus, or the older versions. But I think as time's gone on, we've been playing with the Primus characters for a very long time now. We haven't had any new story for our old Ultimus characters since Black Ops 1. So for many years we've been playing as the Primus crew, and I have, to be honest, gained a connection with them. So my favourite set of characters would be the Primus, Takeo, Nikolai, Dempsey and Richtofen. But then again, we have so many sets of characters. There is the Transit crew, the Call of the Dead cast, the Mob of the Dead crew, which I think are awesome. But for me, it's got to be Primus. And if I had to pick my favourite character, I think you guys all know who my favourite character in Zombies is. It's Richtofen. I know a lot of people like Dempsey, and I can see why. But for me, Richtofen is just, he's interesting. It's his accent, his humour, it's just everything about him. So for me, it would be the Primus crew. But let me know in the comment section below who your favourite set of characters are. The next question from Jackson Sanders says, what is the whole point of the children and going through so much to protect them? And that is actually a really good question. It's something I haven't really thought about up until now. It's just something I've gone along with. I've been like, okay, we have the children in the house, but I've never actually stopped and thought as to why Dr. Monty even needs the children. I looked all through the Chronorium to see if it mentioned anything about it, and it doesn't. Obviously it says that they collect the souls of the characters and then Dr. Monty turns them into children in the house, but it doesn't actually say why he needs to do this. What's even the point? Obviously this was Dr. Monty's plan. Monty explained to Maxis that the paradox that they had caused must be resolved. He told him that a new reality could be created, one free of apothecans, but only if they enlisted the aid of souls who had lived through and survived the fracturing. So we did what Monty wanted. We collected these souls, gave them to him, he put them as children in the house. So we now had Takeo, Nikolai, Dempsey, Richtofen and Samantha as children. But we never actually learned ourselves as to why Dr. Monty wanted them in the first place. Yes, to solve the paradox, but how exactly does these characters being children solve the paradox? I don't know. Because after the Revelations ending, our older characters, Takeo, Nikolai and Dempsey, the Primus ones, get sent back to the Great War in the 1300s, and Maxis and Sophia sacrifice themselves to rid of the apothecans, and so that just left Monty alone with the children in the house in his perfect universe. It was just him and the kids. Our premise characters and Samantha's father Maxis, along with Sophia, were all gone. It was just them in the house. So what happened to them after we left? What is Monty gonna do with these children after the revelations ending? What do they do when they grow up? Where do they go? All of that we don't know. Some people believe that Dr. Monty is good, some people think that Dr. Monty is bad. Personally, I don't know what to think, judging from the various different things we've seen from him. Sometimes he has this evil streak to him, you know, from the way that he kind of betrayed our premise crew. He was gonna kill them or get rid of them once he used them to create his perfect world. And judging by the things he said in Gorod Karovi about Richtofen, Dr. Monty came off initially as an evil character, but then the more we learnt about him, how he helped our characters throughout Zombies by giving us perks and weapons on the wall, the mystery box, and the way he didn't actually kill us in the Revelations ending, but instead sent us back to the Age of Premise, that makes Monty seem good. So we don't really know what type of character he is, what type of god he is. Is he good? Is he bad? And then of course we also had that cipher in Revelations from Dempsey in which he sort of said that the children are in trouble. He made out in that cipher that the children are in some kind of trouble and that the premise crew are hiding from Monty, and if he finds them he will kill them. So if it's just Monty alone in the house with the children, well, do I trust him? No. He already kind of betrayed our characters once. So since the children in the house are basically us, what is he really planning to do with them? As I've said before, we know the zombie storyline is one big cycle, but we don't know what happens after Revelations. Will we ever find out? Will we know what the children were actually needed for? Are we going to see a continuation of our old Ether story sometime in the future? Because we know in Black Ops 4 we do have two storylines going along, but we are kind of intervening in the middle of the timeline and also going off down a different path separate to what we saw in Revelations, which could potentially mean for our Ether story in Black Ops 4 Zombies, Gorod Karovi and Revelations never even happened. So there's a big chance we could never find out any of this. I don't know. However, that is definitely an interesting question. White Boy Plays Black Ops says, will we see the bus driver again from Transit? So will we ever see Ted again in Black Ops 4 or maybe in future Black Ops games? I don't know. Well, the last time we properly saw Fred was of course in Transit. That was back in Black Ops 2 a very long time ago. However, we did see him not too long ago in the Zombies comics. I believe this was last year when the comics released. Ted was actually pictured right here in a room full of other different artifacts. You can see in here there is the real Sophia from the moon, there's also the golden rod, there is a staff, there is Ted, the robot, and also many other artifacts from our Zombies storyline. So this was actually the last time we saw Fred, and the reason he was here is because he was just a relic and artifact that was collected by an alternate version of Maxis. If we go to the Canorium, it tells us that when Maxis was in the house on his own, just after Origins, after Dr. Monty took his brain from the Maxis drone and put him inside of the house, and Monty then took Samantha away with him for a little while, just leaving Maxis in the house on his own. Well, in his spare time, having observed Monty, Maxis decided to use the teleporter in the basement to study and explore other dimensions. Among one of the dimensions he explored was the empty Earth. This was a place where an alternate version of Maxis had constructed something called Zero Base. It was a facility that housed artifacts and replicas collected from a multitude of different timelines. So what we are seeing right here is Zero Base, this place that an alternate version of Maxis constructed, and the reason why we see not only Ted but also the staff, the golden rod, the Vril Sophia and many other things here is because these are artifacts and replicas collected from different timelines by this alternate version of Maxis. As we know, he also collected the Canorium and stored it here as well. Why he would have wanted to have collected Ted, I don't know. It also says that some of these are replicas, so fakes. We don't know if this is the real Ted from Transit or if this is just a replica of him, although I don't see why there would be a replica, so this more than likely is the original Ted. We also see one of the staffs. I believe this probably is one of the replicas, not one of the real ones. And we can also see the Vril Sphere and the golden rod as well. Again, these are probably replicas, although they could be the real ones, I don't know. But that was the last time we saw Ted. He was in Zero Base in the comics. As for your question though, will we ever see him again? I don't really know. We don't have any use for him. Obviously, he was just a bus driver, but maybe there will be an Easter egg where he's featured in the future. I don't know. Just just a small hint, a reference towards him. I don't think he'll have an important part to play unless for some reason we end up in zero base and he has to somehow help us. I don't know. But yeah, I'd love to see it. Can I see it happening though? I don't know, maybe not. Anyway guys, there we go, that is all I have for you for today's video. As always, hopefully you have enjoyed. If you have, you know what to do. Drop a like rating, only if you want to, if not, it's fine. Make sure you also click that bell notification icon as well to stay up to date whenever I release a video. Subscribe, leave your questions down below, and I will see you all in the next one. Until then, goodbye.